Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have someone who has more than 2 decades of experience in leadership development, change management, education, and public speaking. She has a new book out called The Mind Shift Effect, where change management is redefined and leadership is defined. Mindy Vail, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's nice to be here.
Pleasure to have you here. Leadership always been a big topic of mine, kind of unwittingly when I stepped into the fire service as a kind of, young, they call it sprogs, but, young proby firefighter and saying, what the hell is this? And the culture and everything else involved. Mine led to, because I got involved with trade union and a politics degree, but obviously there are organizational politics going on and things like that. So, of course, there's politics everywhere, really, isn't there? So it's not just only in political parties like Biden and Trump. We won't go there. We've got our elections next week, but... Anyway, let's not
we'll save that for a different podcast.
Well, actually, this when this is released, it'll be closer to the US elections anyway. So
okay.
So yes, we won't talk politics too much on this one, although that involves leadership. But what I would like to do is launch first into your book, because that's a good place to start. So I'd just like to ask you, what motivated you to write the book, The Mind Shift Effect, and could you share the inspiration behind the book and how it aligns with your work in change management and leadership coaching?
I would love to. Yeah, thanks for asking. This has been a kind of a labor of love, a culmination of sorts over the years of experience through education. Since I started my career in secondary education, I was a middle school and high school English teacher for 17 years, and then I transitioned into corporate franchise training and leadership development. And so I've seen firsthand the different challenges that people face no matter the industry they're in and no matter the position that they're in. And seeing these struggles firsthand made me want to kind of share my insights as to what I know to be true from a leadership development coach and a change management practitioner. And so I was laid off in February from a job that I loved. I was an executive for my prior company. I oversaw HR, training, development, the PMO. And so I had a wide range of sight into how different teams worked or didn't work well together. And I've seen up close what good leaders do when faced with significant change. And then unfortunately, I've seen the damage that toxic leaders can do in those same situations. So those situations, after I left my job from a mass layoff, from a merger, I really had to reflect on what I noticed, how I felt, and how it impacted my team and those around me in the company. I started almost journaling, and then it turned into, wow, this is really a passion of mine, and I want to pursue this. And hence, that led to the book.
Wow, that's fantastic. I do have a book out called Firefight From Within: How to Master the Tools of Life During Tough Times, but it's more resilience and just my journey from school days. Actually, I had dyslexia without realizing until I was 40. I got diagnosed, and so, but my English is better than a non-speaking English person still anyway. You know what I mean anyway. But saying that it was a struggle in the fire service, and stuff like that, because I wanted to go for promotion and all that stuff. I don't want to go into it. However, what it did decipher was exactly what you experienced. And I wrote my book before I left the fire service and got into a little bit of coaching, not to the level you did, because really I was into fitness. I was a track athlete, and it merged together because I was a track athlete as a 10, 12-year-old, and merged it together because of fitness and firefighting worked, didn't it? So it was kind of like that. It started with fitness, and then with all what I experienced with toxic leadership and good leadership as well, and seeing coaching, the good side, and some good and bad teachers, but maybe good teachers mostly, that helps me actually, to be honest. because I could have gone down the wrong road and say when I was 15 and I was good at athletics and track and field. Without, I'm just swapping notes with you and saying how I got to where I was in this podcast and everything else, which is more relaxed.
And I love that you share that, because it is about those people who make such an impact on our lives when we could have gone a totally different path. And they were there to lead us in a different direction that we may not have known ourselves.
Exactly.
And that's a very critical piece of being an effective leader, regardless of the position you are, whether you're a teacher or an executive or a middle manager.
Exactly. What I did find was the culture was so bad. It was almost like being in a playground full of bullies sometimes. It depends what team you was in and everything else. And this can happen anywhere, really. It could even happen in corporates and personal businesses, which you probably experience now, being you're more professional when you're coaching. You're probably on a higher level than me, doing all this. But
you're absolutely right, though.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I just thought maybe we could kind of swap notes, because everyone will get bored hearing my story, because I'm the host here, and everybody knows Dave Palmer's show and Dave Palmer, the host, whereas this is about you and your story. So I'd like to elaborate your story and maybe illuminate it with my little experiences, saying, oh yeah, I could see that happening or not happening or whatever. So yeah, we can kind of dissect your story a bit now, leading up to your book, and then we can talk more about your book and where they can find it, etc. So you started off as a teacher. I mean, how did you find that anyway? Of course, I gave my little story, and there was some bullying when I had dyslexia at, what you call elementary school, or we call primary school, so that kind of thing. So tell us your story.
And I appreciate you being vulnerable enough to share that story, because I certainly worked with enough students over the 17 years that I was in education who struggled with different things, and they weren't identified. And it wasn't until their adult years that they said, wait a second, something's not right. Something's off. Yeah. I'm struggling too much, and I got to figure out why. And that really is a part of why I do what I do and why I love what I do, because it's identifying those opportunities that we all have that may go hidden for many years. And yet they're lurking under the surface, just waiting to erupt.
Yeah.
And it takes a special person to be able to say, I really want to uncover this. Yeah. I really want to figure out why I'm not excelling the way I think I should be. And it's those self-imposing limitations we put on ourselves because we know something's just not right.
Yes.
It's not clicking.
No.
But nobody's telling us, nobody's helping us see.
That's right.
And so part of the mind shift effect is, wait a second, we can step back, and through coaching and through conversation, we can look at what might be going on under the surface. And it's not therapy, right? It's totally different than therapy. No. It's more about just like, let's become more self-aware about why we do the things we do and how we act the way we do and how that impacts those around us. And we start getting to know ourselves so authentically well, and our flaws and our weaknesses become strengths.
Yeah.
And I love that about the world I live in. It really goes to what you're sharing about your own life. It's so important to be okay with not being perfect. We're all perfectly imperfect.
Definitely.
And that's so beautiful. Like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're right. Absolutely. There are, I mean, certainly in recent times, some very sort of prominent people in media, broadcasting, sports, and that suddenly find out they've had autism because their daughters had it at school, got assessed, and, or they've just found out, I think there's a recent golf player called Charlie. She's a female golf player. I think she's ranked quite high in the world, number 2, maybe. I can't remember anyway, but she lives around where I live in the UK. And she's, although their parents are now based in Florida, that's where she really trains now. And then she just recently found out she had ADHD, I think. She just got obsessed with it, but she was already playing quite a high level of golf. But now she just uses the relaxing scenery before she plays golf. She's got some techniques to use on top of that. But
that's what it is, right? It's not that they're a different person.
No,
it's that now they have a different perspective.
Yes, yeah,
and they're able to look at it differently.
Yeah. However, her dad was a golf player, so she got introduced that way. So she kind of like got into sports and had the help. But some people struggle and they could get destroyed, And I could have been one of those people, actually. I think in a way the fire service did help me as well, because it's a job I really wanted to do anyway. In athletics, I wanted to make the Olympics. I just almost got there. I was an international athlete at a major, all Commonwealth Games was the highest I made, but that's like the Olympics, so
that's impressive.
If you were Canadian, what the Commonwealth Games, it's like Pan American Games, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, without going in, get away from my story. We're talking about
your story's great.
What you did hit on now was the difference between therapy and coaching, because with coaching, you're trying to help people reach their full potential. And so these destroyers and these bad toxic leaders and cultures aren't going to do that. The environment's not right for a start, and the leaders aren't really setting a leader is a role model. And leadership, by the way, is not someone at the top. It could be someone at home, their parents, or someone, a pop singer even, or something like that, who people want to follow. A leader is someone you want to follow, isn't it? You're a coach. People are going to follow you, So it's kind of like, are you going to really get us to reach our full potential the way you're behaving? That kind of thing. In this kind of like mess with everyone, like paparazzis really stressing me out, it's like that, isn't it?
Yeah, Dave, you hit the nail on the head. Leaders can be anyone. And when you see the good ones, you know them right away because they do inspire.
Yeah.
And they bring people along with them.
Yeah.
They're not just talking at them. They're not just throwing out policies and rules and procedures and
that's management. That's management.
Right?
Politics.
Yeah, that's management. Exactly.
Policy, or policing,
leaders, they sit back and they listen and they ask for feedback and they receive feedback as much as they give feedback. And that's so important to be okay with not always being right, not always having all the answers. You don't need to know everything.
No.
The day you tell me you know everything, I'll call you out on that one. Right?
Oh, no,
and
absolutely.
We do see that all the time. We see people in higher up positions think that they need to know all the answers.
Yeah.
So if that's true, why do you have people working for you if you know everything?
Well,
so you pull on other people's strengths, feeding what you may not be strong in, and it builds this culture of like that psychological safety. That's such a buzzword now because it's true.
Yeah.
When employees feel safe, it's everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you do need to have a degree of knowledge in the area you're working in, obviously. I mean, obviously, firefighting, teaching, whatever, you do need to have that degree. But you're right, you don't need to know everything. It's look, I'll check it later and I'll come back to you, that kind of thing. But of course, in a place of danger, you need to kind of have that repetitive training of the basics. Just like a basketball player, they go back and they're shooting hoops in between the timeout, aren't they? That's the basics. Of course, know how to do it.
Also goes to what I speak to in the book, a little bit of micromanaging versus empowering your employees.
Oh, I hate micromanaging. Do you like micromanaging?
Everyone. No, you like micromanaging.
I hate that.
Who in their right mind wants somebody over their shoulder telling them exactly how to do things when they clearly are competent?
Especially when, I was going to say, especially when you know how to do it, it's just really the ones that are toxic and nitpicking because they don't like that person, or that person's spoken out, or they know more, or something like they're a threat.
That's right.
And it's usually a manager or middle line, next line, first line manager or something that's really doing that. We're getting close to politics here, so let's get more into the mind shift and let's talk more about that. I just wanted to compare notes, especially the comparison of we've worked in public sectors and seen leadership, bad and good, and I'm sure I would say anywhere, even in the hospitals, doctors, nurses, there's politics going on and bad and good leadership and things like that. So anyone will benefit from this episode we're speaking about now, and obviously you're seasoned. Not saying you know everything, but you're a seasoned.
No, I don't.
Leadership
Not
coach.
even close.
Seasoned is a more polite way of putting it. So let's go more into the mind shift now, and then a little bit of your work, because obviously you left your profession. Why did you leave teaching anyway, and how did it happen? I think you mentioned it anyway, and then expand out to the work you're doing.
I honestly think that education, regardless of where you live, and I'm speaking just varies a lot, but education has changed dramatically over time. We would lead into the political conversation if I got into it too much. The politics and public education are insanely alive and well, and it does disrupt the joy of teaching. And you have influences from parents, you have influences from administrators, you have, I mean, shoot, after COVID, we saw a huge negative impact to our student population. And I was not in teaching at the time, but my kids were in high school. And so it has evolved in a way that makes it very difficult for a teacher to be effective in the classroom anymore. And that's a shame. And my mom was a teacher for 35 plus years, and she sees it the same way. It's just a very difficult occupation. I wish everyone could spend a week in a classroom just to feel the angst.
Yeah, do you think it's changed during the pandemic? Because that's one of the key frontline professions that really got affected. There's a lot of politics around it.
It got hit hard.
Yeah, and it got hit hard.
There wasn't a solution that really worked.
No.
Some schools did it better. Some teachers did it better.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say it was a disaster, not only for teachers, but for parents, but especially for kids in their formative developmental years.
So in other words, early years plus, like my daughter was in the early years. I tried to homeschool her through the Academy of British thing, but anyway, it affected her when she went back to education. It was just too much, you know. But she had early years. She was 5 when the pandemic came. You see what I mean? And then I suddenly realised how deep parenting is involved, you know, and it's from the school, via the school, and how it affected her, how I had to parent her even more, and how it. Well, anyway, I don't want to go into it too much. But you're right, and I think that what we're seeing, Dave, right now is we're seeing a workforce, the younger generation, coming out of high school and college into the career workforce. And when we talk about leadership and we talk about change management, many of them just simply aren't equipped yet. Not to say they can't be. No, of course not.
A lot of them aren't yet. And so this topic to me is so important, not just for our experienced leaders to know themselves better, but it's really for our emerging leaders coming in and just not having that robust set of skill sets that we may have had.
Well, one of it I did see in terms of skill sets from teachers that quit during the pandemic was the older teachers, the ones closer to retirement. I saw it more on Twitter, which can get toxic as well, actually. But I quit now, blah, 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 because I don't know how to use this electronic equipment. I'm just used to standing face to face and blah, blah, blah. Coaching's the same. It doesn't really work with tech too much. You need to have that emotional kind of the connection, don't you? You can do it online, of course. Lots of online coaching happens, and it's better in the video.
You just said it.
Yeah.
Emotional connection.
Yes.
If you feel that emotional connection with your client, with your student, it just won't work. You can do it, but it'll be half-hearted.
Yeah. And this is the thing about AI as well, really. It's probably getting me to sack my virtual assistant. Not that I really had a full-time one, but anything else, you've got to really make that connection. And any clients you've got, you know that you're not going to keep a client with an AI bot there, are you really? It might chase them away if they do the wrong thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's right.
And that really is the basis of the mind shift effect for me, is that human connection, that emotional connection that we have to have with our people in order for them to feel seen and heard. There's not an AI tool out there who will make us truly feel seen and heard.
No.
And that we have to make sure exists in our work environment because we're so disconnected.
Yeah.
And I love technology and what it brings. I love AI and what it brings.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
There will always be a need for human emotional connection.
Yeah. It's a tool. It's another tool, just like when computers came out. And I'm probably a lot older than you, but I did computer studies when I was 15, you know, and and it was when Apple and Microsoft first started in the late 70s. So, you know, I actually got involved in the first computer games started coming out, like Star Wars and that sort of stuff. So,
yeah,
we saw it. Star Wars. I mean, Space Invaders. Sorry,
Space Invaders. Of course.
Yeah. Star Wars is the film, but it came out around the same time. And when you think about robots, you know, you see Star Wars, and robots just haven't got any emotions, and it's still the same now. You know, it's like it's now we are back to the future where actually robots are now becoming a real thing. It was a fictional thing in my days, but they still haven't got no emotions,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I can talk to Chat GPT all day.
yeah. I
I
mean,
can have conversations with it,
yeah.
but it's not going to bring me that same sense of awareness about my surroundings and how I lead and how people perceive me and how they
No.
respond to me and how I react back. Like it's just not the same.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The only scary thing about AI is obviously that thing where they say it was where you I forgot the name of the word they use now, where they use a picture and it's fake, deep fake. That's it, deep faking.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
scary. It's
So that's the
terrifying,
scary
yes.
thing.
To
Yeah.
not know the truth from
And the people from Google,
false.
the leaders that invented OpenAI, saying, "Oh, it could even evolve that AI could kill you," things like that. They actually said that. I saw them standing up
Yeah,
saying it.
they said you should be scared.
Yeah, you've got to be scared.
It
It's
came
got
out
to
of their
be. It
mouths.
has to be regulated. But let's get back to the mind shift anyway, because
Yeah,
we've made our point that you can't replace humans.
you can.
That's absolutely true. And let's get more into your work now. What is mind shift before we talk more about the book and where they can find it?
So the mind shift for me is about debunking myths that we have over the years been conditioned to believe about not only what leaders are and should be, but then what women in careers should be, and just who we are as people when we think about leading anything, whether it be change, whether it be parenting, whether it be us to a project. It's reframing our belief system around who we are and creating those safe spaces for ourselves to think freely, for ourselves to question, and then encourage others to do the same. Of, are we doing this way because we've always done it this way, or are we doing it this way because it actually works? And being able to ask those questions without fear of judgment or criticism, and having that mind shift of failure is not wrong, failure is not negative, failure is actually really exciting because it means we tried. It means, and that's where the learning happens. And if we fell flat on our face, well, then we get back up and we try something different.
Yeah, you get back on
And
the
when
horse and
we
ride
are
it again.
able to, yeah, when we're able to shift our mindsets, it all of a sudden opens this door for innovation and creativity in a way that we would never get if we just continued to do things the way we've always done them, because that's the way we've always done them.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Well, that's just a good few short paragraphs into what it is. So tell us a little bit about the book, what they can expect from reading the book and where they can find it.
The book, The Mind Shift Effect, is on Amazon, so you can easily order it through there. And for me, I hope that people will get out of it a sense of it is a place where they can go and re-examine, assess, take an inventory of how they are currently leading or how they want to lead. And after each section, because it's not meant to be read in one full sitting.
Right. It's not cover to cover.
No, it's not
No.
a cover to cover. It's more a take a section at a time, sit on it, think about it, process it. And then after each section, I put some questions out there to just say, reflect on this. Think about the last time you were in this situation. How did it impacted those around you and the culture that you're trying to create? And I think the power of the mind shift effect is that, yes, it is meant for professional use. But when you start reading it, you'll realize this actually applies to my personal life too. And these concepts are relevant no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And no matter who I'm working with or who I'm trying to influence.
Yeah.
So I hope that it gives people a spark of just creative thinking, critical thinking, and a space to just biases, their own limitations. That's really my goal.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, it's personal and professional. Leadership can be in the home as well. Obviously, parenting is leadership, as I mentioned earlier, and anywhere else you go. Actually, like I say, there's some celebrities, and anyone of that appears where people will follow them. That's probably the best way to put it, or model on them. if you're in that position, that's leadership. Do you see what I mean? It's not just only the CEO of X, Y, and Z, although that's a good position to be in, or chief fire officer of X, Y, and Z fire department in the US. That's called fire department. It's called fire stations here. But yeah, so people need to know.
Show up every day.
It's how we show up
for people every day.
Exactly. That's what it is. Well, that's fantastic. So where can they find it? What website can they find about you and your work and the book?
So they can go to Amazon. They can order the book, The Mind Shift Effect, on Amazon. And then they can also go to themindshifteffect.com, which is my website. And they can also find me on LinkedIn, either The Mind Shift Effect or Mindy Vail.
Fantastic. Mindy, it's been a really fantastic conversation. We could actually sit down all day and talk that away with all this, but obviously
I'm up for it anytime.
I'm only up to about 30-minute shows at the moment, which is fine for this type.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, some people want that, so that's basically what works. So I'm sure I'll have you on a show again when I look back and see a topic and think, oh, I'll have Mindy back here.
That'd be wonderful. Anytime.
But otherwise, I'd just like to say thanks very much for coming on the show and sharing your book and your work with my audience today. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show today, Mindy.
Thank you, Dave, so much for having me. I really appreciate it. That was fun.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.